called again?
Convincing Idiots.
Convincing Idiots.
Called it ham gravy.
I informed them that I sided with the stat man, not just anyone's opinion, the stat man Brian Fisher.
These kids today.
Jingle All the Way is in fact the best Christmas movie of all time.
I need to get Grandma a present, and my herpes is flaring up. I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, yo, yo. I'm the millennial
We're
Santa.
three friends representing three different generations. That's our whole shtick. That's our thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nick got the whole poop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing in the sea
Caucasian.
breeze, holding a turd, just mightily. I'm just going hitting hats.
Anyway, on a lighter note,
Mini. Welcome to the Mini Podcast. Welcome to the Mini Vodcast. Welcome to the Mini Broadcast. Boys and girls, welcome to the Mini Episode. This is Convincing Idiots Mini Episode.
It's just
I'm
little.
Dean. I am little. Can you see down there? No. The Zennial.
I'm Brian, Gen X.
And my name's Nick, and I'm a millennial. And like we millennials do, we
Complain
play
about
video
everything?
games. No, well,
Oh.
we complain about everything while we sit and we play video games.
Okay.
So I'm pretty excited though. This coming Friday. So what? A day after this episode, maybe. Well, who knows when this will be published? But this Friday, October the 15th, is a very big video game day for me. Does anybody know why?
You are going to send your kids away and play their video games all night?
Yes, except I'm going
All
to get
right.
myself a video game. So
Okay.
No, the new edition of NHL, EA Sports NHL 22, or Chell, as the community affectionately refers to it as,
Chell.
comes out on Friday with this handsome gentleman once again gracing the cover 2 out of 3 years of the last
Wow.
3 years. Austin Matthews was on the cover of NHL 20. Here we are 2 years later. He's back again because they just can't sell enough video games unless that beautiful mug is on it.
He's got to win something.
Okay, that was... You really don't appreciate that.
That's some good trivia, actually, because I don't know of all the video games that have athletes.
Mhm.
You know, obviously football, baseball. So I don't know of many or any repeats that I could think of.
I think hasn't Tom Brady been on a couple, or Patrick Mahomes now on Madden? Didn't he? He
I
was
don't
on the
know.
cover a couple years ago, and now this year he shares it with Tom Brady. It's Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady on the
okay.
cover.
Did it
Um,
count that Tom Brady's
that's-
probably been on multiple covers of the AARP magazine? Does that count?
Not quite yet, but yeah, he's getting
Okay.
there.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And actually-
go ahead.
If memory serves, I think back when in the early to mid 2000s, when the Chicago Blackhawks were winning a bunch of cups, talking like 2008, 9, 10, I want to say Patrick Kane of the Blackhawks was a cover athlete 1 year, and then there was 1 year a few years later where he and his teammate raising the cup, him and Jonathan Taves shared the cover. So it's something maybe like that. But as far as Soul,
Featured
just him?
soul, yeah.
So will that be
On,
Austin
that- he-
Matthews' next cover?
that should be. It should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
He'd have to win
If
first.
EA
He'd have
Sports
to
didn't
win the
repeat
cup.
him a second year in a row, and then they won this year, they'd be fucking up if they didn't put him raising the cup on it the next
Yeah,
year.
absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
But no, so
big
I've been
big game.
It's a
Go
big
ahead.
day. It's always a big release day when it comes out every year. I buy it every
Now,
year.
do they get one of those makeup players? You guys remember all the? I mean,
Yeah.
I think the
yeah.
'90s
Oh, it's-
was where it started. You can
It's
create a
very
player,
in-depth. Yeah,
and
yeah, it's
you
very-
make yourself.
I
with a
do.
mullet?
It's very in depth, and like now you can dress because there's like, at least in the hockey games, like there are like it's called World of Chell, where it's like you play pond hockey, you can rise up through junior and all that stuff. So, but you can dress your player and with whatever kind of stuff, and you know,
You put a mullet on Nick.
No, I just go with the toque on Nick, but no, my
Okay.
mullet would be cool. Yeah,
It would be.
go throwback '90s Nick.
Yeah.
That would be good. Yeah. So, do you guys ever get like big? You guys like religiously buy any of the sports franchises or anything like that, like every year, or ever get in any of that stuff?
I've never played a video game. Brian?
Played a bit.
Is that the truth?
No, no.
Oh, okay.
But I honestly, I'm not very good at them.
Mhm.
So
Because you don't
I
play them
wasn't.
enough.
No, even when I did, like, when all my buddies would get together and play them, I would enjoy watching people play them because when they started that Goldeneye, the third person or first person shooter, whatever you call it, I ended up just getting in a corner, blowing myself up, and I didn't need it. So, but the one game I'm glad
you finished that with Up because I thought that I knew how that story ended already, but
that's another story for another time.
Yep.
That's another mini episode.
Yep.
Well, not mini. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The Jeopardy. I would play the shit out of Jeopardy.
Sure. Yeah.
What console was that on?
I had it for a couple. I know PlayStation 1. I had it. And then what was the?
Well, PlayStation 1, 2, 3 certainly had it. The old Nintendo.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of what I had.
Jeopardy. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. I have Jeopardy actually on the original Nintendo.
Nice.
Also Wheel of Fortune. It's also a fun game, and I have those on both of those games. Like I said, the original Nintendo, still have them today. They still work, still fun. And I didn't have a PlayStation 1, but I had a 2 and 3. That's as far as I got. I have them for there as well. Still, to this day, Allie and I will once in a while pull out the Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy on the PlayStation 3. It's nice. Alex Trebek hosting. It's the original hosts. It's Pat and Vanna also on Wheel of Fortune. Just great fun and all that. From a sports franchise, Nick,
for these mini episodes, if we don't mention Pat Sajak every time moving forward, there's going to be something wrong.
Yeah. Game show, and then this one, absolutely. I was into the Madden for years, Nick, so I had John Madden, going back to, I think the Super Nintendo, the Super Nintendo. I started to buy the Maddens back then. And they, of course, progressively got better and better with technology. Arguably, did they become too complicated? But still, obviously, the graphics and the play just got better and better over the years. And I have that all the way through, again, PlayStation 3, the 25th anniversary or whatever it was for Madden, which also has throwback games of old classic Maddens in the 25th anniversary as well. So, yeah.
Nice.
But anyway.
I recognize a dad look when I say it. That's all.
Oh, Nick giving somebody the dad look?
No, actually, hockey season actually starts tonight, so I have
okay. So you're mad at the hockey?
No, it's not. My team doesn't even play tonight. I'm just kind of looking. I'm just looking at the score.
All right.
Check it out. But you mentioned the Wheel Sorry, real quick. The Wheel of Fortune one, I actually had a handheld Wheel of Fortune. It was almost like, like Tiger used to make those little handheld games. It had the directional pad, and then it would have like a couple. Well, it was like that, but it was expanded. And on the one side, it had every letter of the alphabet, and the other side had
that.
And it was like this big honking fucking thing, but it was cool. And it was just Wheel of Fortune. That's the whole thing. And that was pretty cool. That was fun to play.
I remember
very easy gameplay there. And you talk about hockey, Nick. So I have one of the great funnest games I had in the Atari. That was my first gaming system. Was the Atari 2600. That's the original, of course, gaming system. Great fun. I still have one today. It still functions. We mentioned before doing a retro game night. We'll have to still do that.
Yeah.
Get all those old games set up and stuff like that. But Activision, Nick had a Activision Hockey. It was a 2-on-2 hockey, and that is one of the funnest games I had for that You could play against the computer, and what it was, the one player would move automatically, and you control whoever had the puck. You ever see that before?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
I remember.
Okay,
that's
And then you could ricochet off the walls and all this and that and the other, and it got pretty. And you could trip the guy. That was the fun part too. You could swipe the guy enough at the feet and trip him, and he would fall. And he would be stunned for a minute on the ice, so that you can kind of skate around him and stuff no penalty.
No penalty, just free tripping. Just go at it. Wow.
Free tripping if you
the way hockey was intended.
The Wild West, just tripping people.
Absolutely. Nice. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I had the Atari also.
The original.
Yeah, when we were. I mean, I barely remember, but we were little, and then we had a Nintellivision.
Okay.
With the wooden slat console. I remember that. and then we went, big time and did the regular Nintendo system.
Nice.
That's where I remember that Christmas when we got Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Yeah, it's
Your
magical.
world changed.
Yep.
The best thing about those Atari games it was back then is in those retro games are still kind of making a comeback, and they're still popular today. It's just very, very few of them. Now some did.
Sure.
There were a couple where you had to solve. Even the original Adventure was like the first game I got, and it was the whole purpose of that was to solve the game. You had to, do certain things and defeat dragons or avoid dragons and stuff like that, and get a chalice into a certain castle, and it was a lot of fun. But most of them, you just eventually got killed. That was it. The game got harder and harder. You didn't win it. It was all about the high score. It was just different. You could play a full game in a few minutes, typically.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So there's something about that today for me that's still good to go back and just play a quick game like that. 15 minutes or so, game's over, and you're not investing hours upon hours to get through it and finally actually defeat the game. Those are fun in their own right. But those classic Atari games were great, great fun in that respect to play, high score, and that's it. Done.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hey,
I actually...
Nick,
yes.
Actually hold that thought, because I also want you guys to think about, because after you're done with that, we haven't done it in a while, your Mount Rushmore of video games.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's what I'm writing down now, but go ahead, Nick.
I see. Sorry. What was I going to say? Oh, you were talking about like some of the, the
original consoles, some of your fun games and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And same as you, like, there's a lot of, primarily, I mean, now I'm a dad, I got 2 kids. I don't really have as much time to play video games. So that's maybe one of the reasons. I always like the sports games, but I'll stick with, a game of hockey or a game of basketball or something on the consoles, 20, 25 minutes, right? I can get through that. It's not a big deal. But I never find myself finishing story mode games ever, because I just get to a point that I get kind of stuck, and then I'm a little bit discouraged. And then I also don't know how much time I'm going to have to invest in it. And I never finish them. Like, I just don't get through them. So yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said for the simplicity of older games like that.
Right.
So what are some of the harder games that you were able to finally defeat and solve?
I'd never beat a game.
Are you serious? You never beat a game?
No, never. Like I said, I didn't play that much. Like, I wasn't very good when I did. Okay. I like, this, like Nick's saying, the simplistic games, like, Excite Bike,
Sure.
You go around the track. You create your own little, you create your own course, and then you go around in circles, or, So yeah, I didn't get into the whole complicated games. I wasn't good at them, so I just didn't even try.
Okay.
Yeah. I successfully beat Crash Bandicoot 2: The Wrath of Cortex.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Yeah, The Wrath of Cortex. That's what it was called. Yes, it was the second one. Cortex Strikes Back. I don't remember. It was the second one. Cortex Strikes Back.
You guys remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ones?
Oh yeah.
Go down you were kind of like the map with the little almost green blob, and then once you go down the sewer, that's when it started.
Well, are those the ones they're gonna like kind of remake here on the release on Nintendo Switch and stuff?
Yeah, they had 2 versions. They had an original one, which was hard as fuck. Okay, I never beat that one. The original Turtles. Then they had another version that was based on the arcade game, which it's the same arcade game that said Sweets and Geeks. Okay, guys, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
It was one of the greatest Nintendo games that they ever made, in my opinion. It was almost exactly like the arcade, and I have beat that a couple times. And to get to Shredder, there's like 2 Shredders there. One's fake and one's real, and you have to keep hitting both of them, and one's helmet will fly off, and that's the fake one. Right. And you have to keep trying to fight. It was.
Oh yeah,
that's exactly how I met Nick.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah,
but they're making
one of the fake
newer
ones.
arcade. They're making a newer arcade version of that for the Nintendo Switch and all that type of stuff. It looks like that 80s style and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That'd be
anyway,
awesome.
For me, some of the hardest games I beat in my time, there was a Batman game based on the Batman movie that came out in the late 80s for the original Nintendo. And this is before you can't save anything. You could, if you play for 3 hours and you get killed, too fucking bad. All the way back to the beginning. Okay. And you had to work all the way through all this shit and finally get to the Joker in the bell tower. And he's got this huge gun. And I don't know how many times I finally got there until I finally beat him. And just like the movie, Batman throws him off the building and all this and that. It's got the laugh and all that stuff. It was like a moment of absolute elation and triumph to finally beat the Joker at that. That one, and then Fester's Quest.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Based on the Addams Family and your Uncle Fester. And you had to, all this, again, very difficult crap to finally get all the way to the mansion and beat this big boss thing or whatever it was. And the payoff was, you got a whole theme of the Addams Family with a very cool pixelated picture of them, like on the TV show and all that. That's basically all it was to, But again, same type of deal. You can't save it. Got to work your way all the way through it. Invest the time.
Yeah.
Repeat till you finally get all the way through it. That was a big one as well. And finally, Pitfall 2. Pitfall 2 was, they had a version of that where it was a game that you could solve it. You had to go through all this stuff as Pitfall Harry, similar to the original Pitfall, and get through all this stuff. And it was actually pretty complicated. It was pretty sweet. When the game started, you're here, and right underneath you is where you have to wind up. Right underneath you. And you have to go through all this stuff and work your way back up to the top and finally defeat the game. So, sort of, basically. Yeah. So, anyway.
Nice.
Yes.
Is that your Mount Rushmore?
No.
Oh. No.
Right. Not quite.
Well, Brian, have you? I don't know if you've thought of yours yet, or if you wanted to take a second to think.
I could give you just thoughts. I definitely know one for sure.
Okay.
Is it 4 or 5? It's 4.
I'll go 5. Let's go 5. Our Mount Rushmore could be 5.
Okay. I think we've done that before, haven't we? Is that what we decided our Mount?
Yeah, I think we decided on 5.
We've done 5.
Because we're idiots and we don't know how many are on Mount Rushmore.
That's right. That's how this works. Okay, I'm going to go real quick.
Go ahead.
I wrote mine down in no particular order. We have Burger Time.
Okay. Which one? Is it arcade or just the game itself? That's your favorite game, period?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it could be arcade. It could be anything, right? Just your favorite video game.
Video games in general.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you have Burger Time, the original Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
You like the first one better than 2 and 3?
It's just only for the nostalgia fact. Yes, 2 and 3 had better graphics, but it's just the nostalgia fact. There's just a lot of nostalgic memories that come with that.
I'm a little partial to 2. That's why I ask. I'm a 2 guy, but they're basically the same thing. It's just like you said,
right?
Graphics different. The blood.
Like I like whatever. The one where like the ones now. I like not only just the graphics, but how many different players you can choose.
Yeah, and different outfits and players within outfits of the same guy. Yeah.
And then this one, I'm cheating a little bit because I'm going to go name kind of 2, but it's in 1 because they were together. I am going Duck Hunt and Hogan's Alley.
Oh, right.
Wow.
What's Hogan's Alley?
Hogan's Alley was you use the gun, the Nintendo gun, and you would go. You're a police officer in training.
And it's like Hulk Hogan in an alley, and you have to kill him before he kills you.
You're in these it's a mock city, and a bad guy will pop up or a good guy, and I
remember that.
If you shoot the good guy, you lose. You just got to be quick on them popping up, and it's not like real people. It's because actually
like a police training thing.
Yeah, police trainings. They call it Hogan's Alley. You got to go down an alley and shoot the right good guy or bad guy, right?
I see. Okay.
So, and then I have at number 4. Super Mario Brothers. I was debating whether to go 1 or 3. I'll leave that to the imagination. Once again, nostalgia for number 1, but number 3 is a superior game.
Mm-hmm.
And then my number 1, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
It's a good game.
I said it before. 007-373-5963 is the code you put in just before select and start, and you get right to Mike Tyson.
Oh, nice.
So that is my Mount Rushmore of video games.
Did you hear that out there, all you gamers? Now you know how to get straight to Mike Tyson. You know how many people are out there still trying to get there? They're like, damn it, I wish there was.
You're welcome.
Now they know.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nick, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. Are you ready for my Mount Rushmore?
Go for it.
So coming in at whatever, I guess I'll work my way bottoming up, but they're all pretty equal.
As usual.
Bottoming up. There you go.
Thank you.
I gotta go with NBA Jam for the Sega Genesis. I love that game. I still play it on my Sega Genesis, and it's just a blast. All the catchphrases, the "He's on fire" and the "Boom Shakalaka" and all that stuff, and it's just a fun game. I had so many fond memories of playing that I probably played that more than any other Sega Genesis game, I would have to say. So I got to put that one in there. One of the most fun games, and certainly my favorite game on Nintendo 64, was WCW Nwo Revenge. It was like that video game when it came out. I mean, before that, I think it was one of the first like 3D wrestling games where it wasn't just 2D in a wrestling ring going back and forth.
Yeah, I think that year WWF had one out and they countered it.
Yeah, I think that one came out because the WWF followed up with the WrestleMania 2000 or whatever, and it came out but it was this. I mean, they were developed by the same company. I think it was THQ.
Big bubbled muscles.
Yeah, they were. I mean, it was the exact same game with just different guys. But all those games. But I've got a soft spot for the WCW Nwo Revenge because that one was the first one, and I remember a buddy in grade school had that, brought it over, and it was just like, whoa, that's all we ever wanted to do is play that game. After that, I'd have to go with. I'm gonna cheat on these last 3 because they're kind of like I could pick individual games, I guess, but it's really the whole franchise. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games were and still are some of my favorites. Those were a lot of fun. Some of the later games, they added more features where you could jump off the board and carry it around and continue your trick score and gave you more accessibility throughout the levels and stuff like that. Same, more skaters, more customization options you can make yourself, go through, a story mode, all that kind of stuff. So all the Tony Hawk games, probably 3 would have to be my favorite. After that, number 2, my favorite story game franchise of all of them is Crash Bandicoot. Once again, every game, even the one they just put out last year, all the Crash Bandicoot games were great, but I was partial to Crash Bandicoot 2 because it was the first game that I ever completely beat all the way through. And then, obviously, the Chell franchise, NHL games there's no type of game or game franchise I've spent more hours of my life playing. If I had a favorite year, it'd probably be 03 or 06. It's a tie, but I played through, I think 5 seasons on one of those games. I think it was 06 or 03, maybe. It was 03. Yeah, 06 I was almost an adult, or coming into adulthood. But
you're still almost an adult.
Almost. But 03 I played through 5 years of the season, the franchise mode. And I'm telling you what, I don't skip preseason games. I don't simulate any of an 82 game season. I play best of 7. I mean, all the way through. 5 years. 5 years. 5 cups in a row.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Dynasty. Brian, Mount Rushmore.
Sure.
Go!
Oh, boy. I have so many on my brain. Okay, so just from the overall, one of the first games that got me into art, I'm going to age myself here big time compared to you guys here. So one of the first big arcade games I ever recalled playing as a kid, Space Invaders. Okay. Late 70s, this came out, and it was a whole, I think that was the original, big time popular arcade game, beyond Pong and shit like that. So this was a whole different feel to it. You're fighting aliens, obviously.
Brian,
the
you
game.
do know if you go to Stuffed Genie, you can play it for free. They have the arcade in the back.
Oh, really? Okay, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Where?
And
in the back room.
Back?
Yeah. Well, not
all the way.
Back. No, just the second room.
They told me I wasn't allowed behind that curtain, except to use the bathroom. I got to go back there one time and use the bathroom.
You don't look trustworthy.
That's Stuffed Genie? Where's Stuffed Genie?
Yeah, downtown.
Yeah, on Tusk.
Oh, yeah. The comic place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, and then when I first got the Atari 2600 as a kid, the game I got first was the home version of Space Invaders. I mentioned this on the show prior in our Christmas episode and all that. That was a magical Christmas to get that video game and the Atari 2600. I played that fucking game hours and hours and hours and hours. And the home version was, very similar to the arcade version. I have a preloaded Atari 2600 today. I bought with like 100 games on it. Okay, it's
nice.
And to my surprise, the preloaded Space Invaders game on this version is the actual arcade version, not the Atari version. So it's just like playing the original. To this day, to plug that in and play, fun game, gets harder and harder and harder and harder. Eventually, it will defeat you. Great fun. Space Invaders. The next level for the Atari 2600 for me, Asteroids. The Asteroids was a great great arcade game, a lot of fun. But the home version, again, terrific fun. Different versions of it. Play that game for many hours. It's just you get your heart going. Anyway, just great fun. So 2 classic games right there: Space Invaders and Asteroids. There you have it. Play those many hours growing up. Getting into the newer gaming systems and all that stuff. The first great football game, in my opinion, this is before Madden, Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Tecmo Bowl. I still have it. Still works. This is like an early 90s. It's like 80, 91 or something like that. They had the license for the players as well, which is pretty cool. So you had all the NFL lineups for the most part. A couple of players it doesn't matter, but it was like the lineups back then. You had to call certain plays. You controlled one player at a time. The gameplay is slick, great fun. And even have commercials today to reference some of those, like Bo Jackson on that game was just absolute crazy, ridiculous to stop him and stuff like that.
And once you get a touchdown, they had like the pixelation of him slamming the football down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Still a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, Jeff has a version of that, Dean, in his basement on his arcade console. It's like a Tecmo Bowl version on his console. But anyways, so what is that? 3. Goldeneye. So we mentioned it here already. That was the first huge first-person shooter game. Nintendo at that time had Doom 64 for Nintendo 64, and then Goldeneye. 2 great first-person shooter games. The Bond took it to another level. Great gameplay. You could play against your friends, as Dean already mentioned, and do like you could play up to 4 players going through mazes and shooting each other. I solved that game as well. Hard to do.
Yeah.
Great fun. GoldenEye, all-time classic game. And what is that, 4?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so...
But you have to do an idiot Mount Rushmore. You need one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many. There's, gosh. I'm one of my favorite video games of all time. Bosconian. How about that?
What is it?
Bosconian.
Never heard
Also
of it.
a simple video game. And again, this is me as a kid riding my bike down to the local pizzeria with a pocket full of quarters to play Bosconian. I have versions of it on the PS2. Again, I want to try to. You're flying through space, blowing up space stations. Basically, is what it is.
Nice.
Just for me, enjoyment, the nostalgia, gameplay, a lot of fun. So obviously, for me, I tend to go back to more of the classics as far as my all-time favorites. I could name it tons more with like Lego Star Wars almost made my list. Those are great games for the PlayStation and everything else.
Bomber.
So, yeah, tons and tons of great games. But those I mentioned there, if I just had those games,
or not PlayStation, Top Gun for Nintendo.
I don't.
Some bitch. I mean, yeah, you have to fly the missions and shoot and bomb people, but the hardest fucking thing was landing on the aircraft carrier. I think I only saw one person do it. I mean, you have to line things up and even, it was cool.
Okay. One more question. I know we're getting about the end of the worst video game all time. Any thoughts?
Well, statistically, it's E.T.
E.T. was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Game that you played, it's just like, I cannot stand this damn game.
For me, that was a lot of the first-person shooters, only because I was so bad at them.
Yeah, I don't know, because they're not memorable for me, because if I didn't like the game, I just didn't play. You know what I mean? Like, they don't. I don't know. And I'm like Dean, I'm pretty good at all the video games. No, I'm just kidding. That's not true.
One of the worst pieces of garbage games, two I remember, because this is going back to the Atari. They had a Journey Escape game.
I've heard of this.
The Rock Band Journey. Now, they had an arcade game. Oh, yeah. They had an arcade game, Journey Frontiers or something like that. That was actually kind of fun. That was probably the only video game. Well, KISS, they had pinball, but as far as a video game with the likenesses in the game itself, they had the guys in Journey playing in the game, which is but anyways, they had an Atari 2600 version of Journey Escape, one of the worst pieces of crap you could ever hope to play.
So you're saying you stopped believing?
I did in that, and the original Atari 2600 football is one of the worst looking and playing games of all time, flat out. Go look that up sometime. The players even flickered because they couldn't get the programming. It was just the technology was just not there at all. Atari later had the real sports versions and those were actually a huge step up for the 2600. But the original Atari football, horrible, horrible game. The ball itself was just literally a black dot. Terrible. Just terrible. Miles away from what they're able to do today. It's really pretty incredible.
Terrible.
That wasn't even that long ago. So,
yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on video games here, fellas? We're coming up on almost a half hour here. So,
I like video games.
There
I like video games.
That's my final thought.
Very good. I wish I had more time for that. I do miss it. Like I said, I haven't gotten anything past the PlayStation 3. I do miss just having the time to sit down and blow a few hours and not be guilty about it. It's been a long time for me since I've been able to do that. Easy if you put effort
into it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it Friday crazy.
That's good. You said few hours.
That's good.
Never mind. I thought you meant something else.
Yeah.
So,
right, so someday, perhaps, look for the Convincing Idiots version.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe on the Nintendo 64 is about the best we'll be able to muster. Something like that, perhaps.
Maybe in pixelation, I'll look good.
Yeah.
There you go. I would like to see us WCW Nwo Revenge style.
Yes.
Where we get on there and we battle royale, beat the shit out of people that do other podcasts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh.
We're coming for you, Lane's World.
Maybe have Peyton work on versions of us pixelated.
There we go.
That'd be
I like that.
I like that. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So.
I'd wear a shirt of me pixelated or otherwise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll wear a shirt. I don't care, pixelation or not. It's got Nick on it. I'm wearing it.
There you go. All right, so guys, we're going to wrap this up.
With some of his. Anyways, what?
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I really don't think I should. I really don't think I should.
All right.
So, if you've enjoyed this, but you would like a full-size version, if you are enjoying us at half-mast, just imagine at full capacity how great things could be. So join us for a full episode of Convincing Idiots, or on the interwebs via our Convincing Idiots link tree or convincingidiots.wordpress.com. And we will see or hear you there. Well, you'll hear us. We won't hear you. That's not how this works.
You got to learn that.
I'll figure it out. This is podcast? Is that what it... Yeah?
Maybe next week.
Yeah, we'll see. Bye.
Keep gaming out there, folks. See you.
Tune in to find out.
See you in the long one.